these guys right here, I have them right there next to my volume knob for a reason. Really is the thing where I think people hear drums that I do that are like live recorded drums and they go, wow, this really hits. Like you put that on your drums right now and tell me it doesn't make a difference.
This episode is being supported by Tape It. If you currently use voice notes to record your ideas, you should try Tape It instead.
I'm old-fashioned when it comes to that. You know, it's like API preamps, Neumann microphones, but the 1176 is probably the one kind of go-to thing, because just for me, compression is the sound of popular music. You know, it's not just there to limit the dynamic range. It does something to the transients. It's like 1176 is almost like tracing out an image and bringing things really forward. And, you know, I just have that across all over this record, basically.
Yeah, very interesting. And what about you two over there in LA?
For a bank balance, however.
Sorry.
What tech?
Yeah.
See, I had an answer prepared for this question that was I was going to say Tape Notes podcast.
Oh, I love that, Bowen.
But honestly, like the Floating Points podcast has like without floating points, you don't have progress. The Idle song Progress. That was literally the idea for that, with all the glitchy up and down the octave. He, you know, the bit where he draws the strings out of the CS80, like, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do that. So I got a pedal that then did it. So like the hearing other people's ideas and hearing other people's processes is one, inspiring, but it's also freeing, because you hear the plethora of scope for different people's processes. You hear the plethora of scope for the amount of access people have. Like, some people are bedroom producers and don't have access to incredible gear, but they still make incredible music that gets played on the radio and everyone jams to. You know, Kenny was making sick stuff on a laptop, and now Kenny makes sick stuff with incredible gear and an incredible insight to that, but he still is the laptop guy. Mm-hmm. He brings that experience to it. And it's what makes it unique. And
so his answer is the Electro-Harmonix Pog. That's what his answer. He said all that to say that the Pog so by Electro-Harmonix is the one.
So that is very true. I have 2 of them on my pedal board.
He's broken 8 in the last 2 years.
More than that. I've broken 3 this tour. They need to make a sweatproof one. Electro-Harmonix, if you're listening, your boy Bo's sweating too much on top of these things and it's breaking. I mean, they probably love it because I'm buying so many of them.
You're buying 20 a year.
Electro-Harmonix, like, I mean, a big thing for me is that, like, everyone in the band's favorite instrument is bass or cello. And so, like, guitar, I'm constantly trying to make my guitar sound like a bass. 90% of the guitar you hear on this album is baritone. I moved to baritone guitar. One, because it helps new chords come and new kind of.
You're playing lower than B though, aren't you? You playing?
Yeah. Drop A sharp, drop
A,
in a lot of places, and then also putting that an octave down. Sometimes I'm lower than bass, and like it's and then also the exact opposite happens. I'll go as high as I possibly can. So getting the scope of octaves is doing that, and also making organs and things like that. Yeah, the Pog's the one.
It was 3 letters, so you could have just said Pog.
What about you, Kenny? Have you got something succinct that you?
I do right now. Yeah, I hate to say that it's like, because it is a bit of a rare one, but it's just changed a lot for me. I got really into all tech stuff from getting put onto it by producers I look up to and friends. And at first it was kind of like I was using old Altec mixers to kind of crunch things and just running things really hot into solid state mixers, tube mixers, and using them as distortion. But then I started getting certain mixers from old like Altec 5-channel things that are only a couple $100. These aren't like super insane, but I started getting ones with EQs on them, and I started loving the low-end EQ on any piece of Altec gear became my thing. So if you see an old green piece of Altec gear and it says LF on it, that became my kick drum sound. That became a big bass thing for me. And so Bowen actually shifts a little bit. Right behind him there are these 2 EQs. They're Altec 9073s. Let me tilt it. These guys right here, I have them right there next to my volume knob for a reason, because I just use them on almost everything. And I was in a session recently with someone whose drums I aspire to get even close to, and I played them some stuff I was working on, and they were like, what is on the drums on this song? You should do that to all of your drums. And I went and looked at it, and all it was like an old sample of a break through that EQ. And in this insane loud room, the Red Room at Moloko in London, I'm listening on like giant Augsburgers, and my drums are punching way better in this one song than anywhere else, and it was this EQ. So now I've built myself a console with those EQs in it, and then on every channel. Well, there's a smaller version, but it's become my whole sound for live recording.
Is that what made... I'm going to ask you a question. Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Mark Bowen asks...
Come in.
How do you get your snares so bright but with so much weight? That's the thing for me. It's like, we listen to Pop 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 there. The snare is so much brighter than I would have made the choice.
Yeah.
Because I'm always looking for weight from snare.
I'm always fighting against people in hip hop who are clipping their drums, whether they know it or not sometimes. Now, obviously, like always, like people are doing it on purpose, but the way FL sounded for years, it has a certain ceiling to it. So drums in FL have this kind of clipped thing to it. It became a really big sound in hip hop because of Metro Boomin and other huge producers. And for me, even when I go to a kit recorded with 10 mics or whatever, a bit of clipping or a bit of like stock Ableton saturation and things like that give it like a different, not the weight. The weight's going to come from how you're recording it, the sound of the sample, whatever, but the snappiness and the punch that you feel like you don't get sometimes from like when you listen to a close mic on a drum kit and you're like, this sounds nothing like a sick trap snare or whatever. It's a little bit of clipping for me really is the thing where I think people hear drums that I do that are live instruments or like live recorded drums, and they go, wow, this really hits like something on a rap song or this or that. It's clipping. I really like Ven Audio V clip. And then I'm an Ableton guy, so I really like the Ableton stock saturator and just engage soft clip. But I think that like you put that on your drums right now and tell me it doesn't make a difference. It's unreal.
And drum bus is sick as well.
Yeah, I'm off drum bus now. It's a little bit, it's doing like, I hate plugins that you don't know what they do. I used to hate the CLA plugin because it's like, it does CLA vocals, but it's like, no one knows what the hell is going on in there. And like, that for me is what drum bus does. But yeah, we'll have to get into it.
I mean, I only recently discovered what a compressor was.
I'm trying to keep it short and you made it go long. I was trying to go short.
This episode is being supported by Tape It. If you, like so many of our guests, use voice notes to capture your ideas, you are going to love Tape It. It is the iPhone recording app designed specifically for musicians and songwriters. With Tape It, you can record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, and even include photos of settings. Plus, there's Cloud Sync, you can import your old voice notes, and to stay on top of it all, Tape It has great labeling features like automatic instrument detection. And all of the above is free. If you currently use voice notes, switching to Tape It is a no-brainer. But that's not all. Tape It has the option to upgrade to using 2 microphones on your iPhone, along with gentler dynamic compression to give a much more natural sound than any of the usual apps. And we have a special offer of a whole month of this high-quality recording for free. Just head to tape.it/tape notes to try it for yourself and see what a difference it makes.
This is a big thing for me, right? And this is something that I've learned on this album. I used to be very, very into gear and very into what's new, what's fresh, what's experimental, and what is something I can latch onto. And what I've discovered is that it doesn't matter. And like, I'm in a very privileged position in that my job is music and I can afford to buy expensive pieces of equipment and gear. So like my if you were to ask me what my new favorite thing is, like a Von Gone low pass filter thing that I've just bought. But what I would say is, don't focus on that. Gear isn't where it's at, and it's really hard to say because like, look, there's lots of beautiful gear all around us, but like everything is about how you intuitively respond to what you've got and what your limitations are. Every piece of equipment that Nigel Godrich owns is broken. It's idiosyncratic. It has its own flavor. You can buy the same thing as Nigel Godrich and it won't be the same thing. It's not going to have it. Also, you're not Nigel Godrich. You're not Kenny Beats. You're not Mark Bowen. You're you, and you've got intent within you and you've got incredible insight that Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the gear is. Use what you've got. Yes, get excited about new stuff, because a new piece of equipment can be transformative. It can really change a song. Bringing a new pedal on board and just experimenting. Yes, equipment is important, and changing things and affecting things is huge. It's all we do. But latching on to what other people have and what other people, find your own thing.
Yeah.